Clues to impacts of supernovas on our Earth may be found in tree rings as well. It's not just solar radiation, if you see the video before this one. It's also supernovas. Daniel Strain, University of Colorado. Massive explosions of energy happening thousands of light years from our Earth may have left traces in our planet's biology and geology, according to new research by CU Boulder geoscientist Robert Brackenridge. The study, published in the International Journal of Astrobiology, probes the impacts of supernovas, some of the most violent events in the known universe, and in the span of just a few months, a single one of these eruptions can release as much energy as the sun will during its entire lifetime. They're also bright, really bright. As we see supernovas in their galaxies all the time, Brackenridge said, senior research associate at the Institute of Arctic and Alpine Research, INSTAR, at CU Boulder. He says, through a telescope, a galaxy is a tiny misty spot. Then all of a sudden, a star appears and may be as bright as the rest of the galaxy. The very nearby supernova could be capable of wiping human civilization off the face of our Earth. But even from farther away, these explosions may still take a toll, Brackenridge said, bathing our planet in dangerous radiation and damaging its protective ozone layer. To study the possible impacts, Brackenridge searched through the planet's tree ring records for the fingerprints of these distant cosmic explosions, and his findings suggest that relatively close supernovas could theoretically have triggered at least 4 disruptions to Earth's climate over the past 40,000 years. Okay, 4 in the past 40,000 years. And what we're looking at now is a gas cloud from a supernova, a bubble of gas expanding at roughly 11 million miles per hour, created by the shock wave from a supernova. This is from a NASA image. 11 million miles per hour. Can you imagine? Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. Now, the results are far from conclusive, but they offer tantalizing hints that when it comes to the stability of life on our Earth, what happens in space does not always stay in space. Brackenridge say these are extreme events, and their potential effects seem to match tree ring records as well. His research hinges on the case of a curious atom. Brackenridge explained that carbon-14, also known as radiocarbon, is a carbon isotope that occurs only in tiny amounts on Earth. It's not from around here either. Radiocarbon is formed when cosmic rays from space bombard our planet's atmosphere on an almost constant basis. Brackenridge said there's generally a steady amount year after year. Trees pick up carbon dioxide, and some of that carbon will be radiocarbon. Sometimes, however, the amount of radiocarbon that trees pick up is not steady. Scientists have discovered a handful of cases in which the concentration of this isotope inside tree rings spikes suddenly and for no apparent earthly reason. Many scientists have hypothesized that this several-year-long spikes could be due to solar flares or huge ejections of energy from the surface of the sun. Brackenridge and a handful of other researchers have had their eye on events much farther from home. He says, we're seeing terrestrial events that are begging for an explanation. There are really only 2 possibilities: a solar flare or a supernova. I think the supernova hypothesis has been dismissed too quickly, he said. And also we have to beware of betelgeuse. He noted that scientists have recorded supernovas in other galaxies that have produced a stupendous amount of gamma ray radiation, the same kind of radiation that can trigger the formation of radiocarbon atoms on Earth. While these isotopes are not dangerous on their own, a spike in their levels could indicate that energy from a distant supernova has traveled hundreds of to thousands of light years onto our planet Earth. To test the hypothesis, Brackenridge turned to the past. He assembled a list of supernovas that occurred relatively close to our Earth over the past 40,000 years. Scientists can study these events by observing the nebulas they left behind. He then compared the estimated ages of those galactic fireworks to the tree ring records on our ground, in the trees. He found that of the 8 closest supernovas studied, all seemed to be associated with unexplained spikes in the radiocarbon record on Earth. He considers 4 of these to be especially promising candidates. Take the case of a former star in the Vela constellation. This celestial body, which once sat about 815 light years from our Earth, went supernova roughly 13,000 years ago. Oh, there we go again, that 13,000 years ago. That's the Younger Dryas comet impact. The Clovis culture ending, megafauna, megaflora, ice age, whatever. All these things had changed around that time, 13,000 years ago. So they say that this was a supernova, which 815 years ago was from Earth. Not long after that, radiocarbon levels jumped up by nearly 3% on Earth, a staggering increase, he said. The findings are not anywhere close to a smoking gun or star in this case. Scientists still have trouble dating past supernovas, making the timing of the Vela explosion uncertain with a possible error of as much as 1,500 years. It's also not clear what the impacts of such a disruption might have been for plants and animals on Earth at the time. But Breckenridge believes that the question is worth a lot more research. He said, "What keeps me going is when I look at the terrestrial record and I say, my God, the predicted and modeled effects do appear to be there," end quote. He hopes that humanity won't have to see those effects for itself anytime soon. Could you imagine? Because, of course, it's going to be an extinction level event if we have a supernova explosion that close to us. So some astronomers think they've picked up signs that Betelgeuse, a red giant star in the constellation Orion, might be on the verge of collapsing and going supernova. And that's only 642.5 light years from Earth, which is much, much closer than the Vela supernova 13,000 years ago. He said, "We can hope that's not what's about to happen because Betelgeuse is really close," he said. This is by Daniel Strain, University of Boulder, Colorado, Boulder, on Bended Reality. Fascinating stuff, how everything just fits together like a puzzle. So this can also, the gamma radiation from supernovas can also be found in the tree rings. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support.